Hello gorgeous souls, how are you today? So, if and when you're jumping on here, if you are joining me live today, then please do say hello, drop me your favourite emoji in the comments. If and when you're catching the replay of this, so if you are listening to this here on Facebook, hashtag replay, if you are listening to this over on YouTube, then again, let me know that you're a first time listener, how you've caught this video, because I am going to be uploading this Facebook Live to YouTube. And then also, this is going to be going over to my new podcast. So this is actually episode 1 of my new podcast. I'm repurposing my long form content. So I'm going to play around with this weekend and see how it works out. And my hope is that this works, because then it means that I've got video here on Facebook, I've got video over on YouTube, and then I've got the audio over on my podcast. So wherever you are landing, wherever you are hearing this from or watching this video, please do let me know in the comments. I would love your feedback. If you are a first time listener, I would love to know that this is your first time catching me or listening to me, whether you're live, whether you're on the replay. Also, let me know whereabouts in the world you're tuning in from, because that always gets me excited. And anything else that I want to say. Yeah, if you're not subscribed to any of my platforms, so if you follow me here on Facebook and you don't follow me on YouTube, or my podcast, when my podcast becomes available, I will be sharing the links on my socials, and I will link it up in the link in my bio as well. So if you want to follow and connect and subscribe to me on my podcast, then you can do that by going to the link in my bio. If you want to find me on YouTube, I am Louise Elizabeth Blood on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel on there. I have got some videos that I've created over the past few years that you can plug into and watch for a bit of entertainment if you want. And then obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast or you're watching this on YouTube, you want to follow me on social media, then you can find me on Instagram. And you can also find me, obviously, on Facebook. So, I wanted to jump on today and obviously record session 1 of my podcast. I dropped a video a few days ago about how it went terribly wrong the first time I tried to record the podcast, just in audio form. And I always believe that things like this happen for a reason. And there was a reason that I'd clicked record on my first podcast episode just to record it. And thinking about it, I've not actually hooked my mic up, so that's something that I haven't done. I'll do that on the next one. But I'd hooked my mic up to my device, I'd got everything going, I'd tested the audio, and then off I went, talking away with no video, no response, no one logging in, which most people would find probably more comfortable doing than doing sort of something on live. But I do prefer being live, and I love to be able to respond. I love to be able to ask questions if people are asking questions. I love to interact. So if you do catch me live, then that's amazing. Bring your energy. But even through the replay, I do love to go through the comments. So do hashtag replay. Do ask any questions that you've got throughout this podcast episode, whichever platform that you're on, because I will go through and I do check the comments. You can also reach out to me with any questions that you may have, coaching questions and things, either via DM on socials, or you can email me at hello@louiseblood.co.uk. However, back to recording, I pressed the record button and I was talking for a good 40 minutes. I'm going to say 44 minutes because that's my angel number at the minute. And it didn't record. And it was only like 40 minutes in that I realised it had only recorded the first 3 minutes. And I thought, this is just not meant for me. It's not feeling right anyway. It just doesn't feel right for me, for my personality type. I like to do things in my business that I really enjoy doing. And I like to do things that feel fun, and I like to do things especially like in live energy. And so I thought, okay, if I'm going to deliver a podcast, I'm going to do it in a way that serves me and that lights me up, because ultimately if I enjoy it, I will do it, and you will get more from it because I enjoy it. So let's hope that this works. This is a test run. This is like podcast episode 1, but this is a test run. So if this has landed on the podcast and we've made this work, then that's amazing. So yay. So I wanted to jump in today and talk about like who the hell I am and why I do what I do. And I want to share a bit of my story with you, because you may be finding me on socials or on my podcast or on YouTube for the first time. Hello, Vicky. Welcome to the live today. And some people don't fully sort of know me, and I thought it would be good as podcast episode 1 to really dive into just more of my story. I want to keep it as short and contained as possible, because once I get going I can go off on tangents. So I'm going to work today just to keep everything sort of very streamlined for you, but it's just to give you an idea of who I used to be and sort of a little bit about my life and my background, to like where I am now, what I do now, and actually how those two worlds are very, very different. Because when people find me now, and I work with women as a coach, so I'm into sensuality, I'm into confidence, I'm into leadership, self-leadership, I'm into manifestation. I love to help women to really believe in themselves and to create the real foundations for success for themselves. And I believe that that comes from working with the mind, the body and the soul, like spirituality, bringing all of those things under one roof, and especially a woman connected to her body and understanding her sexuality and her sensuality, like the power that that actually has when it comes to creating the foundations for living the life that you want to live, really helping you to be confident in who you are, and then ultimately going out there and doing what it is that you want to do in terms of service and getting paid for that. So me, like growing up, I used to be someone who wasn't very confident. I didn't identify as being very confident. I used to believe that I had no confidence, that I just wasn't a confident person. And things like doing lives, doing a podcast, having a YouTube channel, taking photographs of myself was just an absolute no back in the day. So when people do find me and they find my social media and they just see how I express myself and the content that I do create, they can sometimes go, that can't be right. Like, it's as if you've always been that way. And I haven't always been a confident person. Growing up as a child, I was very shy, I was very quiet, and I was one of those kids that would always sort of look from the sidelines. I was a very sensitive little girl, and to be honest, I still am a highly sensitive person. And if you identify yourself as being a highly sensitive person, then please do let me know, so I know that I'm not alone here in the big wide world of the internet. Because when you are very sensitive in who you are, hello Glenn, wow, sending you love, thank you for being here. When you are very sensitive, you can feel things differently to how a lot of other people feel them. You can experience things very differently to how other people experience them. And I used to think that my hypersensitivity, that it meant that there was something wrong with me. So for me, for example, my highly sensitive way in nature means that I don't like, I mean, not everyone likes, but I cannot watch things like violent programs on telly, like films. I don't watch a lot of TV. Mandy's in the house. Hello, gorgeous Mandy. I don't watch a lot of TV, and I don't watch films unless it's like a nice gentle film or a Disney film or something that's practical, something that's like a documentary that's factual. I'm very, very mindful of what I watch, because I just cannot stand even noise. Like, even if someone is watching something that's got violence in it and I can hear it, I cannot bear it. It's like my body just cannot stand it. It's just like, it affects me. So there's lots of things that affect me or that can affect me. Conflict with people has been something that used to affect me, like communication conflict, upsetting people. I used to find when I was younger that I was very much a people pleaser, because I didn't like it when people would react in a way that felt unsafe to me. And so growing up, that meant that as a little girl, being quite observant of the world and being very quiet, I meant that mean that I wasn't a very confident person. And I would make myself sort of mainly in secondary school, I'd say, not in primary school, but going into secondary school, I would make myself like quite invisible, or I'd try and make myself sort of shrink down so that I didn't get noticed as much, because I didn't want to attract the wrong attention. I didn't want to be around volatile energy. And a lot of that time at secondary school, especially when there's a lot of unkind people and all different personalities and energies, I found that did shape a lot of my beliefs about myself. So I am from a town in North Nottinghamshire in the UK, and it's a mining town originally where I'm from. So very much the goal was, growing up, that I could see from where I was, is that you went to school, you worked hard, you you know, did well in school, and then you got a job, and then you got married and you settled down and you had children and you lived in a house and you looked after the kids, went on a few holidays, and when the kids went to school, worked a part-time job, looked after the kids. Like, that was sort of my like, just looking around at the world of where I was from. That is kind of how things were. And not many people in my immediate family went to university or did like further education. So if university was on the cards, that was something that was like sort of just out of sort of the norm for me, I'd say. And going through school, I found school quite challenging. And I used to believe that I wasn't very clever because I found studying at school really difficult, and I found it hard to get my head around the subjects. And so going up till sort of doing GCSEs, I was really quite stressed about failing my exams because I just found it so hard. And it seemed like everyone else around me knew what they wanted to do and would just found the subjects a lot easier than me. And I was there at school going, I just don't know what I want to do. And I don't really find these things very easy. And I feel like I'm going to fail at them. But then also beyond my GCSEs, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So one thing I did know growing up, and one sort of feeling that I always had, and I'm just going to say, because there are people logging on this, it's 14:44 now. I don't know if the comments are working or not. This is one thing about doing things live on Facebook. Sometimes the comments work, sometimes they don't. So here we are. But if you've got any questions at any time, even if you are commenting and the comments aren't showing for me, because this does happen when I do programs for my clients sometimes, the comments don't always show. If you've got anything that you want to say, anything you want to share, but also if you've got any questions for me along the way, then please do drop them in the comments, because I always go back through. And that is whether you want, if you're on the YouTube watching this, or you're on the podcast listening to this, then, you know, drop some comments in, you know, ask questions if you've got them. I will come back and I will answer them, whether that'll be in the comments, or I'll jump on next time when I do my podcast and I'll answer those questions. You know, I'll reach out. Yay, Amanda, yay, well, the comments are working, awesome. So you may identify with this. Let me know if you're a highly sensitive person. Let me know if you're an empath, because that is me. I feel people more so than anything else. Like, if someone's talking to me, I feel them more than I hear them. And it's like, it's how I respond to that. And in terms of, I always have a solution. I always have like guidance. I just do, because I'm very much tapped into, now anyway, very much tapped into who I am. Like, I understand myself so well now. And all the things in my past that I used to think were either a problem, or used to think made me less than, or I used to think, you know, I'm not very good at this, or I'm not good at that. Rather than focusing on all of that, I now understand all the things that used to be my quirks are actually my strengths. And the more I've brought those into my life now, and the more I bring those into my professional life now, the more I'm able to serve my clients on just a much deeper level. So we are all unique. And we're all different. We all have qualities that we bring to this world. And for me, it's about really helping women to identify what those qualities are and what their gifts really are, and help them to identify maybe self-sabotage in ways that they're just getting in their own way, whether that comes to achieving things in their personal life or in their professional life. Because beliefs, and I could go right into a coaching session right now, like just the beliefs and the fears and all the things. It's just like, when we're able to just reframe and shift and change, and it's just like doing a Rubik's Cube, it's like, if we keep doing that over time, things start to make sense, things start to compound, things start to change. We create the success that we really want in life and business by becoming our best selves. So we're not ever going to be like anybody else. And this can be really hard when we want to fit in. And I think, like, when I was at school, this is why I found it quite difficult, because I felt like I didn't ever fit in anywhere. I didn't feel clever enough. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew deep down inside me that I wanted to do something where I helped other people and I served other people, because that was very much in my nature. But I just didn't know what that something was. So I found myself identifying, you know, as a young woman, as not very confident. I didn't know how to set goals. I didn't have any ambition. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was very highly sensitive to people. And so I was also a people pleaser, because I couldn't bear conflict. I didn't know how to say no to anyone. I had no boundaries. And I found myself at 17 falling into my sort of first long-term relationship. And that relationship I was in for a long time. And it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. It was one of those relationships that I never really settled into. Although we were together for 13 years, so from 17 to 30, we were married. I had my first baby at 21. There was so much that happened in my life early on where, you know, I left school, didn't know what I wanted to do. I just got any job that I could, and I worked, and I was always really good at what I did because that was just part of who I am. It's like, I want to be really good in this. But I never challenged myself. I always did the things that were easy because challenge felt too uncomfortable for me. And what I found moving into what I do now, and I'll sort of get onto that in a moment, is just that actually the more I challenge myself and the more I grow, that serves me so much more than avoiding something that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I like to really help my clients go not from like where they are to being in the complete fear zone. I like to help them go from where they are into the just stretch zone, just outside of that comfort zone, just outside of that, because I find that if we go from like here to being too far out and it's like too much energy, it means that we can bounce between the two, and this is where you can find that you go round in cycles of self-sabotage. So for me, it's been all about when I started to, let me rewind back to having the kids. So when I was 21, I had my first child. And that was a massive shock to the system because I had no idea how to look after a baby when I had my first baby at 21. I thought I was like, I'd be able to figure it out, which of course I did, but it was a very emotionally challenging time. And so much changed, like my whole life changed when when my daughter came along. And then at that time, I didn't have a house. I was living at my mum and dad's. The on-off boyfriend that I was with then, we thought, well, we're going to have to get a house and somewhere to live. So we bought a house, we moved in, had my first baby, Ella. And then we sort of were doing our best to make it work. I was a stay-at-home mum. He would be going out, he had his own business. And just under 2 years later, I had my second baby. So I had another daughter, Lucy. And then just under 2.5 years later, I had my son. So I had 3 kids under 5. So life was absolutely chaotic. It was hectic. You know, I was just figuring things out as I went. It was just full on. I mean, if you've got kids, please do let me know. But having kids, it really does test you. And I used to be really hard on myself when I was raising my kids. And I always used to think I should be doing things better. I could be doing this differently. I should be doing this better. And I always felt like I was always falling short of the mark of being a parent. And what I want to say is, if you are a parent, you've got kids, especially if they're young kids, there is no set path. There is no set way. Because all kids are different. They are souls that have come into this earth, and you have been gifted with them to love, protect and care for them, keep them safe, guide them, lead them, show them the way, help them to become adults, and be independent and, know right from wrong, and to help teach them, how to be with other people and how to communicate well and all those things, It's not easy. It's testing. But it also offers us so much growth, like in who we are. And so I always joke and say for most of my 20s, from 21 to 30, I was pretty much changing nappies full time and doing school runs and nursery runs, and life was hectic and things were all over the place. And if I reflect back on that now, I can say I think I did a really good job. I wasn't perfect, and I never admitted to being perfect, but I did the best with what I had at that time. And after having my third child, I still had this niggle inside of me that I was meant to do something. I was meant to be successful in something professionally, and I was meant to help and serve people in some capacity, but I still didn't know what that something was. Now, before I figured out what that thing was, I felt really drawn and called to starting a new hobby. And that hobby, most of you will know, is pole dancing and pole fitness. Now, after having 3 kids, my confidence in myself and my body especially was very, very low. And Obviously my body had changed so much over that time of having the kids, because it just does. As you know, if you've had kids, you'll know it's never the same. And I kept feeling this pull. I was seeing like adverts for pole dancing classes on social media, and I thought, why do I feel drawn to this? I couldn't explain it, because I was like, I really want to try this, but I also absolutely terrified, because you don't wear a lot of clothes when you do pole dancing because you've got to grip to the pole. But something was really calling me. So I asked a friend if she'd come with me to my first ever class, and we booked in for a taster session. And we went along to the studio. And I want to just share that, because we went to the studio, we had our first class. It was nothing like we expected. It was even better than we could have anticipated. I have so many fun stories about when I first started pole, and I will share them on other podcasts. But that opened a whole new world for me, in terms of fitness, in terms of self-development, in terms of confidence in myself. When I first started pole dancing classes, I wore long leggings and a baggy t-shirt because I was very self-conscious of my body. I didn't like to look at myself in the mirror. I felt uncomfortable in the mirror. I never took photographs because I didn't like to see myself on pictures, which is the complete opposite now, the complete opposite. But over time, I had to get shorter shorts so I could grip to the pole. I had to start wearing crop tops because I needed my side to be able to grip to the pole. And over time, I started to develop more strength, more confidence, and I started to actually like myself and my body. It took time. And I also started to learn more about feminine energy and about movement and dance and sensual dance and sexuality and all of that side that the pole community offers. I absolutely loved it. And I did pole for about 11 or 12 years. And I actually ended up becoming an instructor at these studios where I very first started. And I taught in the studios for 3 years because I loved it so much. My phone has got thousands of pole photos on it now, of me, of students, of so many things. It was an incredible hobby. And it also shaped who I am today and why I'm passionate about coaching the things that I coach and I help my clients with, because of how transformational that is. Not that I teach pole fitness and dancing anymore, but I incorporate a lot of the body confidence, the body positivity, the sensual movement, the connecting to self, the really loving our body. And I attribute that to pole, 100%. Now, when it got to about 2013, I was offered an opportunity to start a business, and the kids at the time then were probably 3, 5 and 7 at that time. And in my then marriage and relationship, things weren't that great. Financially, there was a lot of pressure on my ex-husband. And I believed that if I was to start earning some money while also looking after the kids full time, that would ease the pressure and that things would get better between us, because things had been just really difficult. There'd been just, I was sort of I would take on a lot of the stress. He was very stressed at his job, and I thought, well, obviously he's stressed, and money's a challenge, and it's causing problems, and there was like communication breakdown, and it was just not a healthy environment for either of us to be in. And I thought, okay, so someone approached me about a business opportunity, and I felt again really drawn to it like I did pole, and I thought, this feels like this is what I'm meant to do. It was dealing, and it was in the health and wellness industry. It was actually retailing products. It was a network marketing opportunity. But what really appealed to me was becoming a coach and mentor within that business and helping other people to grow, both personally and professionally in their own businesses. And it really spoke to me when I went to the business presentation to listen about it. And I thought, this is what I've been wanting to do. This is what I've been waiting for. This is the thing that I've always wanted to do. I was really excited about it. And so I signed up to that opportunity in 2013. And I was not a quick starter, I'll be honest. I was not a quick starter because I was very much told when I started, just fake it till you make it, sell the products, do this, get a team. And I was like, I need to know that these products are all right before I can sell them. I've heard all the things that it feels aligned and it feels right, and I always trust myself, but I have to know before I can go out there and really promote this and really start to bring on team members. And so it took me about 6 months to really find my feet in that business and to really start to use the products, to get good testimonials, results for myself and my immediate family who were trying them for me. And then also to start growing a team. So I think I got my first team member after maybe 4 or 5 months. And then I started to see promotions in that business sort of 6 months in. And something happened at that time. You know, I'd got the pole hobby, I was looking after the kids full time, I was also running that business, and I was starting to, you know, this is where the door opened for the world of personal development for me. And I started to learn more about myself. I started to learn more about business. I started to connect more and learn about how to network. I started to learn communication skills. I started to learn how to set goals. All of this sort of world opened up for me. And what also opened up for me was learning about the law of attraction, manifestation. It blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. And as tough as I found that business in the beginning, I stuck it out because I was very, very passionate. I loved the people that I was working with, and I could see potential in the business and what I could be capable of. And what I found that the more success I created in that business, the more promotions I had, the more my income rose in that business. I thought that it would help my then relationship, you know, because the financial pressure would be off. I was earning money, you know, I had to invest time into myself and the business to make it grow. And what happened was I didn't feel supported while I was growing that business. And it actually made things worse in the relationship I was in. So we'd been together 13 years, we were married, we'd got the 3 kids together, and things had gone from bad to worse. And I sort of reflected. I'd been in the business about a year, and I thought, surely things should be getting better, not worse. And there was something inside of me telling me that I wasn't meant to be in that relationship and that I needed to leave. I was trying to go for promotions in my business at that time. Things weren't happening. It was feeling really difficult. And the reason for that is I had to release things that were no longer serving me. And this relationship hadn't been right for a long time, probably since the beginning. But, you know, I was 17 when we met and we'd been together for such a long time. But I ultimately knew it wasn't right. And I asked myself, and I just thought, is this actually what I want? Is this what I want for the rest of my life? You know, being spoken to disrespectfully, money constantly being an issue, there being financial abuse in the relationship, just the way things were, it was not a healthy dynamic at all. And so I made the decision to leave that relationship and become a single mum. And this was back in 2014. And when I became a single mum to the kids, they were 8, 6 and 4 at the time. I thought to myself, I'm going to be a single mum forever. I'm going to be on my own for the rest of my life, and that is me done, because it'd been such a tough exit from that relationship. And I just really got to work. I just thought, it's me and them, and that's all it's going to be. And I'm going to work really hard, and I'm going to work this business. I'm going to learn all the things I need to learn. And I literally just went woof, and I got my head down. I learned all the skills that I needed to learn, and that business went woof, and it really took off. I had promotion after promotion after promotion. I got car plan. I was getting bonuses. We were traveling all over the place, internationally as well for business. It really did take off, and I was doing really well. And as a single mum, you know, working my business around the kids, so I was still full-time mum. I'd got that business. It was generating recurring passive income for me. I was earning thousands a month. And from where I was from, and from the jobs that I'd had in the past, I'd never earned more than like £1,000 a month. And I thought, here I am. I've learnt all these skills. This has changed my life. You know, I've left a relationship I wasn't happy in, and I'm now doing something that I really love, I'm really passionate about, and I'm making thousands a month, working very part-time. And I did that business for probably 5 or 6 years, and then I started to get the bug of wanting to pivot and change direction. I felt like I no longer wanted to be under the umbrella of a health and wellness company. I no longer wanted to retail products. I was really passionate about the coaching and mentoring side. That really lit me up. And I sort of looked at the business that I was in, and I thought all the things that I'd learned that had completely changed like who I was. I thought, why has it taken me joining this business for me to learn all of this? For me to like learn and grow and create what I've created, surely this should be taught in schools. This is my mindset. I was like, surely people should have access to this, like out like in mainstream. And I thought, it's an opportunity for me to actually go out there on my own, which is scary, and create a coaching business where I can bring this information, I can bring what I've learned about personal development, about manifestation, about goal setting, achieving goals, about self-leadership, you know, even becoming a single parent, how to navigate that. And also bringing the pole and the sensuality and the body confidence, like bringing all of that together. And I want to start my own coaching business. I want to create programs for women to be able to access. I want to create offers and like a membership. And I had so many ideas when I first started. And like with any new business, when we first start, you know, I'd gone from working under a huge international brand to then working, it's just little old me, just me. But I set off to work because I had this dream, I had this goal, I had this vision. And I've been working on that now ever since sort of 2017, 18 that I sort of had the vision. In 2019, I said, right, this is it now. I'm doing this. And I set up my coaching business. I got my first client in my first offer that I ever launched. She's still in my world today. And she bounces sort of in and out of different programs that I do. But we keep in touch. It's amazing to see like who she is and what she's up to now and the things that she does. It's amazing. And so I'm very much still like growing like what I do and bringing just even more to like my world and my clients' world as I navigate things. So back in 2020, I'd obviously started my business in 2019 and was I'd had a first offer, I'd had a client, but things weren't moving as quickly as I wanted them to. And I'd sort of been finding it quite hard to be consistent on social media. I'd find that when things were going well behind the scenes, which is very rare when you've got 3 kids, let me tell you, very rare. There's always someone that has a problem, an issue, has got out of the wrong side of the bed, or that needs something, wants something, the sky's the wrong colour, you name it. There always seemed to be something that would come up that would interfere with the vibes, as I call it. And I would do all this work that I'd sort of been coached and told where, you know, get yourself in a positive mindset, you know, do your gratitude journal, get up at nice and early in the morning, do the workout, do your miracle morning, like be all of this. And then I'd do the school run and it'd be like, I'd be frazzled. And then I would show up on social media sometimes and then sometimes I wouldn't. And I would let what was happening behind the scenes really dictate what would then happen in my business. And it meant that my results in my business were just, they weren't consistent. Sometimes they were up, sometimes they were down, sometimes they were up, down, but I didn't like that inconsistency. And the business then wasn't growing. It wasn't growing. And I was getting more and more frustrated with myself because I thought, I've left this other business. And that continued to pay me for probably 18 months afterwards until sort of my team just gradually sort of tailed off. But then it got to a point where I thought, I can't sustain like me and 3 kids on this up and down income in my business. You know, this is now tailing off. So the only option that I had back then was to get a part-time job. I really didn't want to get a job. Not because I don't enjoy working, you know, I do love to work at something and things that I'm passionate about. But ultimately I wanted to be working on my business, but it just wasn't bringing in the income to support us as a family. So I got a part-time job. And I worked my business alongside that part-time job. And then COVID happened and I got furloughed. And I said to myself in 2020, I went, this is it. This is the year. I am not messing around anymore. I'm going to get out of my own way and I'm making this happen. I made a significant investment in myself. It was a 5-figure investment in myself and my business. And I said, this is it. I'm learning the things. And I took my personal development journey to a much deeper level. And I started to really show up consistently for me, for my clients, for my family. And in 2020, everything changed. Everything changed in 2020 for me because I committed. I said, I am all in on me. I'm all in on my business. And so what happened, the result of that You know, I was invested, I was doing programs every month, I was committed and working with a coach for a full year. And this is why I offer my my different coaching packages for a year for people to be able to lock in, because I know the power of saying yes and committing for a full year. So much can change if you commit for a year. Don't just commit for like a few weeks. Don't see how you get on in a few months. Like, lock in and commit for that time. Because when you make a decision like that, there then becomes no room for doubt. Like, if doubt creeps up, you're just like, it's okay, because you're always just focusing on, I'm locked in for this. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. You know, I'm here to learn. I'm going to grow. I'm going to lead. This is everything that I help my clients with, is really locking in on the decisions and actioning it and moving it. Now, I'm not saying that life doesn't get in the way, because that did happen for me. So 2021, my business just exploded. So 2020 was sort of the foundation year, and I started to bring out lots of different programs. One was called Confident, Sexy, Empowered. That was my signature program. That's a program that I am going to be doing another live round of this year. I want a nice fresh version inside of my coaching experience group, Immersion. And so I am going to be running that program live again this year. But that was my signature program, and that was really me, like, thinking about what it was that I really wanted to help women with. And that was helping them to feel confident, sexy, and empowered. Because in the coaching industry back then in 2020, it was all about strategy. It was all, about just business. It was all about, like, I want to say quite surface level mindset stuff. And I hadn't seen anything of that nature. And I felt really called and compelled to lead a program like that. And so that's what I did. Now, it did come with a little bit of kickback from, you know, certain family members, and certain friends and people had something to say about the way that I was showing up on social media, what I was marketing, like what was I doing. I'd like got my poll photos on there. I'd got like sexy photos on there, because I love all of that now. Like, I love a photo shoot. I love sexy photos. I love all the things. That is my vibe. It lights me up like a Christmas tree, and it lights my clients up too. But what I find is it can trigger people, especially on the internet. It can trigger people. It can trigger people, I know. And over time, I've just had to learn to be okay with it. It's okay if people don't like it. It's okay if people don't approve of it. It's okay for people not to like it, because I'm not forcing them to be here on my platforms, on socials. Like, it's a choice if you want to be here and spend time with me. And what I find now is that people who find me online, I either fascinate them and trigger them or intrigue them, or they find me and they're just like, oh my God, and we connect straight away. And with the clients that either connect with me straight away, they're the clients that tend to find me and they're just like, there's something about you, and they are straight into what I offer. Whether that is, I've got a membership, I've got a coaching group called Immersion. So my membership is called The Membership. My coaching group is called Immersion. And then I offer one-to-one coaching as well. So I have 3 different ways people can work with me. And people are just like, they either find me and they're straight in, or they find me and they're intrigued, they're not sure, or they're triggered. And some of these people will either, you know, see some of my stuff and decide I'm just not for them, and that's perfect. So I don't market and create content and show up in a way that is to attract everyone. I'm just me. And I know that the right people, the right clients will find me by me being me. This is why I want to do like more long form content, because I want to have more conversations with you. I want to share more about like me and who I am and what I do. And I want to be able to serve on here, on YouTube, you know, on my podcast. I want to have this type of conversation. I don't just want it to be sort of very short form, which is, you know, Instagram, Facebook type stuff. I want to be able to answer questions and come and share different coaching things here on my podcast and the YouTube and here on Facebook, because I'm going to try and turn this into a reel. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so people that are triggered by me, if they stick around for long enough, and I've had quite a lot of clients do this, where I trigger them in the first instance and they feel like, I don't know what it is about this woman. It's like I want to hang around, but there's something that she's really rubbing up against and I don't like it. I often, like I said, find that they then do become longer term clients with me. and they then become fascinated by the work that I do. And once they actually get to know me, they're just like, well, when I saw your pictures, I wouldn't expect you to be like you are, because you're actually all right. I'm like, I know. And this is why I love helping people with, you know, the sensual side, the sexual side, like being really confident and unapologetic, very bold in who they are if they want to be that way, is because it doesn't mean anything about you. You know, I am still me, as in I'm very kind, I'm very thoughtful, I'm very humble, I'm very good with people, I'm very empathetic, I have a lot of compassion, I have a lot of love, I love to serve, I love to give, like that's part of who I am. I also have high standards, I also have boundaries, I also won't tolerate disrespect. You know, there's a lot of things that also like sit on the other side of the fence there. And so it's the same with like me showing up and being all of me and who I want to be as a woman, before I have all the roles and responsibilities that I also have in my life, like as a mother, as a family member, as a friend, as a business coach, like all of those. I'm multifaceted. And it's like we're told in society that we have to act a certain way or be a certain way or show up a certain way in order to be respected or accepted, or for people to like us or to attract people. And what happens is when we are always trying to be someone or something else to try and be professional or try and look a certain way or try and attract things, we end up attracting things that we don't actually want. We end up attracting relationships that don't serve us. We end up attracting clients that are an absolute nightmare. I've never had that, ever. I've never had a nightmare client, ever. Because it's just me. I wouldn't attract a nightmare client just because they'd be repelled by me in the first instance, which is great because I only want to work with aligned clients. And that's women like me, or women that like connect with me in some way and go, I want to be more confident. I want to believe in myself. I want to grow my business. I want to feel more confident. I want to be sexy. You know, I want to be unapologetic. I want to be bold. You want to be more visible on socials, like whatever it is. It's like I can help you do that. I can help you become that version of you. It's like being it now and leading and not getting in your own way, not self-sabotaging, not procrastinating. It's like I have programs and I have coaching that help you to do that. And I'm very passionate about it, as you can obviously tell. And for me, it's been such a journey to get to where I am now. Now, in the past few years, I've had like ups and downs that have affected like how I've been showing up, like the things that I've shared on socials. And last year especially was very much a foundational year of me sort of building myself back up after going through a really emotionally tough time for probably 2 or 3 years. That really did grind me down, and it did get to me. And I'm not going to go into what that is today, but I didn't let it stop me. It did mean that in 2022 that my business did take a little bit of a dip, which was devastating for me because, again, being the financial provider for me and the kids, it meant that I had to go and get a job again. I left the job that I had before in 2020 after being furloughed and did my business full time. And then in 2022, I had to go out and get a job again to support me and the kids financially. And that was a massive blow to my ego because I felt like I'd let myself down. I felt really disappointed in myself because I've literally allowed, you know, external circumstances to affect me. And for those of you that are listening to this or watching this that know the circumstances, you'd probably go, flipping heck, Louise, you know, you had a lot going on. You know, we could see from the outside it was so difficult for you, and yet you still like showed up. And I was always sort of consistent on my socials, but in terms of marketing, in terms of selling, in terms of hustling and all that stuff that I love, I wasn't doing that. So of course it did impact my results. It impacted me financially in my business, and it meant, you know, going and getting a job. Now I made sure that the jobs were aligned for me, but my ego at that time literally ate away at my soul. My ego was really hard on me for those 2 years that I was working, because I knew deep down it wasn't what I was here to do. I got a job initially where I was just like, I just need to breathe. I need to, you know, get some regular income coming in, and I just need to have a job where I don't have to think much about it. I can just go to the job and I can come home and I can just breathe. But what I found was, because it was such an easy job, it was lovely, and the staff were lovely that I worked with, but I then found it wasn't challenging enough for me. I like to be challenged. I like to challenge myself. I do love to be hard on myself. I just do. It's like, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I can always create more and create more. It's something that really drives me. And so being in that environment, in just, being in the employee mindset, which, if you know, you've got the entrepreneurial mindset, the employee mindset, it can really affect you being in that energy. And I found that, there was a job, and there was a few clashes with management in that job, where I was just like, I'm undervalued at this job. I'm underpaid for what I do at this job. And I'm also not challenged enough, like, in terms of, I know I'm capable of more, and really I shouldn't be here. I need to be building my own business. So I transitioned into like a better job, a more challenging job. But what I found in the job was, I was just around the wrong people. I was around people that were very negative. I was around people that complained a lot. And again, it was like I was working so much and giving so much, and I felt, again, undervalued and underpaid for what I was doing. And so the time came at the end of 2014 where I was just like, no, this is it now. I ended a relationship that I'd been in for 5 years in the summer of 2024. And in the October of 2024, it was just like, nada, this is it. I am done with this now. I am setting sail on me again. I'm working on the foundations of me. I will make it work. I am going to make it work. It's a done deal. Like, I am meant for this. And so the job went, the relationship went, and I started again. And I said that 2025 was going to be my foundational year. And I had it in my head of how things were going to be in 2025. And at the end of 2024, I got really clear on what it was that I wanted and what was done. Like, it's done. All I've got to do is show up. I was working again with a coach. So I'd signed up in September to work with an amazing coach. She was over in California. I locked in for the year with her in 2025, at the beginning of 2025. And I was just like, right, this is it. And she was like, yes, girl, we've got this. And it was an amazing year, but it unfolded in ways that completely shocked me. And I'm not going to share too much on today's podcast or on this, because otherwise we'll be here all day. But I will share more about that as we go through. But the reason that I wanted to share that piece is just to say that if you really want something, if you feel it in your soul, if you have this knowing, this inkling inside of you, and it's there, and you're not acting on it, or you're playing too small, you will know about it, because you will feel frustrated. Your ego will be niggling at you, and you will be just, there'll be a part of you that's like really annoyed with yourself, because you're just like, I know that I'm capable of so much more than I'm giving right now. The environment that you're in might not be serving you. The relationship that you're in might not be serving you. There will be something that needs to change, that you know needs to change, that you are not actioning. And while you stay in that and you try and make things work, and it's not the thing, you're just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's like, ultimately what it is that you want. And deep down, you're capable of making that happen. You're just playing small at the moment out of fear. That is my message on today's podcast, or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Because that was me back in 2024 at the end of the year. Sort of September, October, I was just like, things have to change. And when you decide, and when your energy backs your decision, the universe moves heaven and earth to go, she's ready, or you're ready. She's committed, he's committed, they're committed. Whoever's making that decision, you have to back your decisions with so much conviction and energy. And the thing is, you could turn around and say, yeah, but it's not a guarantee. What if it doesn't work? What if this? And all those fears will be there. It's like, we have to move despite the fear. We have to move regardless of that. We have to believe in something greater if we're going to make it happen. If you want to build your own business, or you want to achieve something in your life that maybe no one around you has achieved or done or whatever, there has to be an element of delusion to that for it to work, for you to action it. There has to be. People are going to think that you are crazy. Some people think that I'm mad. A lot of people don't get me, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I have to be okay with that. I surround myself with people who get me, who understand me. My clients, for example, you know, we're all on the same mission of, we know what we want, we're working towards it, we're going for it, we're doing it. And so if you resonate with anything that I've said today or anything that I've shared today, let me know in the comments. Whether it's on Facebook on the replay, whether it's on YouTube, whether it is on the podcast, let me know. Because ultimately, I know how it feels to be in that place of overwhelm, of frustration, of your ego eating you alive, literally on the daily, of feeling like your energy is depleting, of feeling really tired, of having a knowing deep down that like this isn't it, there is something greater for me out there. If you resonate with that feeling and you know you want something different, something greater, something more, then that is why you're here watching this podcast or watching this video on YouTube or on Facebook. Like, connect in with me, with my free content, join my membership, join my coaching group, become a one-to-one client. Whichever avenue fits, you know, I've got them at all different price points. Free, free is number one. I've got years of content on my socials. If you're in a position where you're just like, you know, I don't have the money to invest in anything, that's absolutely fine. Plug into my free content, follow me on socials, sign up to my YouTube channel, register for the podcast, like sign up for it, subscribe to it when it's up. There are no excuses now. You're here. You're watching this, you're listening to this. It's your sign. No more shit. Like, let's go. Let's do it. If you want to find out about my offers that I have my membership, which is a low-cost offer. It's under £1 a day to access my membership. Details of that are in the link in my bio. If you're wanting to lock in to like deeper mentorship, you want to be able to access like all my full programs, then Immersion is where you need to go. Go and read up on it. If you've got any questions about it, reach out to me and let me know. I also offer a VIP upgrade for that one, where you get one-to-one monthly with me, as well as access to my coaching group. I do Telegram drops. We've got a private Telegram thread. There's all my programs in there that you get access to. You get access to the membership and all the masterclasses. You get everything. And if you want one-to-one, you can book that as well. And we can have a one-to-one session every month. Or I also offer just one-to-one, which is, we're in the inbox, we're in the telegrams, like I am there bouncing ideas off. You're having a shit day, something's happened, you want to celebrate, like you've got a question, whether it's whatever you're doing in life or in business. What I find is that if your foundations behind the scenes of your business are right, you can run your business. Whatever the strategy is, it doesn't matter, you'll work the strategy. The strategy is whatever you decide it to be. Whatever it feels aligned for you, whatever you want to do, you'll do the strategy. No questions if behind the scenes is aligned. And it's that we work on. Because when this is working, this is working. When this is a complete shit show and a mess, this is compromised. And so it's really helping you to create the foundations for success so that personally and professionally, you're doing the things, you're making magic, you know, things are happening. And when you're in that frequency and that energy, like, you become unstoppable. So I'm going to wrap things up now, because if not, I could get onto a real TED talk and all the things. But like I said, any questions, any comments about today's episode, please do let me know, whichever platform that you're listening from. I would love to hear from you. I will also remember next time to plug my microphone in. So let me just have a little look. Mandy's dropped a comment. So it says, it's been a slow learning curve for me, but I now feel like I'm heading where I should be in this next chapter. Yeah, it's scary, but I keep hearing you say, we move. We do. We move. And this is the thing about personal development, and this is the thing about personal growth and also about professional growth, is we are bombarded with, you know, how quick things should be and how things should be. And if you just do this, like, results come like that. And we can get so distracted by what everyone else is doing and how we think we should be doing things, that we can make that mean that, you know, we should have done things faster, or I should have been here at this point. And it's just like, just strip away all the noise. Trust the process. If you found yourself that you've gone off track, that's okay. We all do. There's something needed figuring out, a lesson needed learning, there was wisdom to be learned, right? Once we've like gone, and we steer back and we get back onto course. This is why with the way that it's the membership at just £27 a month, this is why like we do the work, but immersion for me is where it's at, because it's like lock into that. And this is just helping you to course correct and come back to alignment, back to alignment, back to alignment each time. Like learn the lessons, become wiser, become better. You know, the better it gets, the better it gets. It's like when we're in the energy of success and we're in the aligned frequency and we're making moves and we're celebrating and we're doing the things, it's just like, yes, it feels amazing. It's like orgasmic. It's all the vibes. When we're going through a time where things are tough, something's happening, you know, life's happening. I've had it myself in January. You know, I had big plans for January where it's like, you know, we're going to be moving house. We're going to be, I'm going to be like launching a podcast in the first few weeks of January, and all of these plans, like business things. I want to launch this masterclass for January. That's not happened this month. You know, it's still January, so I'm just in the window, and that doesn't matter. Life's happened. You know, my granddad had a fall in December. He ended up being admitted to hospital throughout, like all over Christmas, all over New Year, and he passed away on the 5th of January this year. And it was a big loss for our family, a very big loss. And so there's had to be time and space to hold that, you know, to hold that grief, to hold that loss. It doesn't mean anything about anything like in terms of, well, I should have carried on with the business, or I should have done the podcast or anything like that. It's like, this has happened. We hold space. It's like, for example, inside of Immersion, we have a group call every 2 weeks on Zoom. And the call that was scheduled for last week, you know, things have happened. We've had, obviously, family getting the things together for the funeral, which was literally on Wednesday this week. And my clients are just like, don't worry about the call. You know, take this time. This is my clients. I'd be like, right, I'm going to fit the call in this day. Like, take some time. We're here. We're all good. We'll see you in Feb. You know, we're in the Telegram group. We're chatting. I'm still in there. I'm dropping voice notes. And they're just like, don't worry about that. We're holding space. We send you love. We, you know, love to your family, to your granddad. This is the type of people that I attract. And I'm so grateful for that. And I have to be grateful for me, because it's like I set the precedent, I set the tone, and I set the standard. This is the type of humans that I work with. It's humans that like have a vision and who want to make that their reality. And it's like, I'm just like, let's go. That's the vibe. So, no shoulds, all coulds, and we move. We move. So, sending you all so much love. Please wish me luck on uploading all of this, because you know what I'm like with tech. I love tech. I heart tech. So I'm going to upload this to all the things ASAP. And I will notify you when the podcast goes live, when this is on the YouTube. If you're looking for links for anything, wherever you're listening to this, just head to the link in my bio on my social media pages. So either on Instagram or on Facebook, okay? They're the best places to find me. And if you need to email me, it's hello@louiseblood.co.uk. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, wherever it is. And I'm looking forward to already session 2, and I will remember the mic. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.